Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
This is Sean Clark, head football coach of App State Mountaineers, and you're listening to the Fun Belt Podcast.
This is the Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Hosts to Dusty Thibodeau of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howl Racer, and Shane Metlin of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's another weekend in the books, guys.
Oh,
how are we feeling after Arkansas State tries to give the game away to Troy? ULM comes back down to earth against South Alabama, who set a new school record, 355 yards rushing. James Madison, App State back on the scene. And then, of course, Tuesday night, the Cajuns keep rolling over Texas State. A scary moment there for the Cajuns, but they still escape with a win and everybody intact on the plane and headed back to Lafayette, leading the West. Jeremy, how are you feeling?
Man, that was a rough game, Arkansas State versus Troy. You know, it was like one of those games, Tibbs, where everybody's sort of jovial in the press box because A-State's up 20 points. It's like, this game's in the bag. Everybody's kind of relaxed. Half the stories are written already at halftime. You're just going to have to fill in like the final stats and you'll be done. And then Troy just comes out of that tunnel, man, and they just waylaid Arkansas State for a quarter. And for Arkansas State to come back, win that game against a 1-7 team, which is a little embarrassing, but it's always Troy. Troy's always dangerous, Tibbs. Arkansas State came out with the win. It was okay in the end, at least for Arkansas State fans. Troy still looking for that first Sun Belt win.
Shane, how was the welcoming of the Will Hollis Eagles to Harrisonburg?
They looked like they were tough at first, Shane.
Yeah, they played pretty well. I think, as much as we talk about when are they going to find a quarterback, Ethan Crawford, maybe with some time, kind of looks like maybe he could be that guy, a dual threat. Yeah. They lost him for a play or two in the third quarter when they were getting ready to go in for a score that could have made that game pretty interesting. End up with a fumble when Tate Rodemaker comes in that kind of changed the game around. So, yeah, I think, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with, Southern Miss as far as like coaching or anything down the line, but maybe if they keep Ethan Crawford around, maybe that's a guy they can build a little bit around.
Yeah, but what about James Madison? Comes out with the win. There's a lot of people kind of grousing and grumbling about the quarterback play at James Madison. Is everything right in the world out there? Because in Harrisonburg, it gets a little tense. They take their football seriously.
I wouldn't put it on the quarterback, honestly. Like it's
some people do though. Yeah, I don't know why.
The offensive line struggling way more than I would have anticipated at the beginning of the season, and I think that's the main issue for JMU right now.
Okay, Tibbs, you probably relaxed. You got the Warhawks on bye, right?
No, we took an L. I mean, it was kind of a bye. Look, I went into that game not feeling so great about it. I don't know what it was.
You felt terrible about it.
Yeah, I just didn't know what it was. Had the early or at the halftime 17-12 after we gave up the safety. I think the safety really kind of put the nail in the coffin there that we were just going to come out lackluster second half and lived up to that expectation. I don't know. It was weird to see the defense that they were not as in your face as they had been leading up to that game. I felt like they were kind of standing back a little bit and really just waiting on the Jags to come to them to make the play. And the Jags did it. 355 yards rushing. Gio Lopez did Gio Lopez things. Not much fluff, but Jags got the win, and they're sitting at 4-4. Not necessarily barn burners in the West. They're probably not going to catch the Cajuns for the lead.
No.
But 6 wins could be in the cards.
Yeah, and here's the thing. One thing about ULM. Here's what I just looking back at sort of their recent history. Unless you're UAB, if you're ULM, and if you're playing ULM, and if you can score more than 21 points, there's a good chance you're going to win. You got to score more than 21 points. And if you do, you're going to win. But if you don't, you're going to lose because that ULM defense will make you pay for that. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform. And it's your number one source for everything football. And it's actually my number one source for betting online. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Do you think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on the game of blackjack or poker or unwind with any one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. But yeah, I think the Jaguars are that team, Tibbs, the team that breaks your heart because they don't close escrow on the games that really they need to win, right? And they're doing it again. It doesn't matter who's at the helm. It could be, it could be the governor. It could be Applewhite. There's just something that happens in Mobile that prevents them from becoming a great team. And you saw it yourself, Tibbs. South Alabama's a pretty good team.
So what you're telling me is even though they're sitting at 4-4, you only see one more win, and they break our hearts again, going 5-7 down the stretch.
There's nothing more South Alabama than going 5-7. That would be perfect South Alabama. So what's the mood in ULM? You get that loss, and is there sort of heartache, or is it just like okay, let's settle down? It was one loss. Well, we've got a very hard next 4 games.
It was the season-ending loss. Better luck next year. Things are let's cancel Christmas. We don't need to have parades anymore or anything like that. No, I mean look. I think for us in the know, losing to South Alabama is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, they're a pretty good team, pretty good program. It was respectable most of the way through the game. It kind of got out of hand there in the 4th, but you flush, forget, move on. You got Marshall coming up this week, still trying to get that win, number 6. You right now just got to play these last games as a 1-game season until you can get that 6-win mark, and then try to again go back to that 1-win season of getting to 7 and so on. Yeah. Every goal is still attainable except for probably winning the Sun Belt Conference. Could still happen, but for the most part, right now, it's focus on 6, focus on 7.
Speaking of focusing on 6, focusing on 7, or just even focusing on getting a win, how about Appalachian State surviving Georgia State? Which I think historically, Appalachian State doesn't want to survive Georgia State. They want to trash Georgia State. But Georgia State, they're 2-5, but they're kind of a dangerous 2-5. Appalachian State now 3-4. I don't know, maybe going to make some sort of run of it. Was this what Appalachian State needed to sort of get off the snide Shane Mitland, sort of wake themselves up? Or did the struggle against Georgia State reveal that Appalachian State is in for a very painful ending to the season?
I don't know if it told us much of anything. I feel like it's almost like Appalachian State had to start again, in the middle of the season. Like it's almost like this is like a week 2 or 3 type game for them, where they have a little bit of a break. It's almost like they regather. People are moving into new apartments and stuff. It's almost like starting training camp again to some degree. So I don't really know how App State's going to finish the year. I could see them finishing strong, kind of regrouping now that they're back. They've played a game at home. They're kind of just getting back to normal, but also they weren't playing that great before all this happened. So it's really kind of hard to read what to expect from them right now.
Yeah, that game was neck and neck until about the 4th quarter when Appalachian State finally found some separation. Aguilar, 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards, 299 yards. Played a great game, kind of an Aguilar-like game. Georgia State really impresses me, Tibbs. I know that nobody wants to be 2-5. You want to come off that win against Vanderbilt and then have a good season behind it. But to me, Del McGee's doing a pretty good job considering what was left for him. Don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he has an SEC win over the SEC darling there of Vandy. I like where they are. I'd be interested to see where they were, though, if he would have come in maybe in November, December of last year and had a full spring, had a full recruiting cycle under his belt. This might be the team that if he can actually live up to the hype this upcoming recruiting cycle, they might be some early on favorites for the East going into next year. But I will say this also about the game. Got some good national attention from our friends over at the Sickos Committee when, of course, it starts off with a safety and a field goal. They love the weird, crooked numbers on the scoreboard. It was 3-2 at the start of the second quarter.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. And wasn't it at some point it felt like it was 10-5, maybe? I don't know. It just seemed like it was strange for a while. But staying into the East, there was that Thursday night game, guys. A game that we kind of, I don't know. I think did we already discuss this game, by the way? I can't remember. Old Dominion and Georgia Southern. It feels like we did. Did we not?
No.
Okay.
That's how weird it is, though. The Old Dominion's over here kicking everyone's ass, and we just forget about them.
It's like some deja vu going on. But the Old Dominion now, it's like South Alabama. They're 4-4. But they're leading the East, which is crazy. They go in and completely annihilate Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern was playing a lot of really good football. Georgia Southern looked like the team that was going to be the team to beat in the East. Suddenly, Old Dominion, they've got, what was it? Was it Colton Jacobs? What's his name? Colton Joseph. They got this new quarterback. Throws for another 4 touchdowns, guys. 304 yards. This kid is incredible. I am completely on his bandwagon once I finally remember his name. This is like the second week in a row that I cannot remember his name. I'm not going to forget it again. Colton Joseph. Just an amazing quarterback for Old Dominion. Freshman kid. My phone keeps buzzing. I'm sorry. Metlin, explain what is happening with Old Dominion.
You just explained it. They found a star quarterback. They were close. They were so close before that. Once you got a guy who can kind of put them over the top, they're winning a lot of games. And I was surprised by how bad they beat Georgia Southern, but I think we all predicted to win in that one, didn't we? I think not a blowout like that, but it was something. Georgia Southern's maybe not quite the same team when they leave Paulson, and both divisions are kind of Louisiana's got their edge. They're still undefeated. You got to put them on top, but both divisions are wide open right now. It's crazy.
It is pretty nuts. I think we'll talk about the standings in a second, but I think what's impressed me is it's one great. Yeah, Colton Joseph is leveraging that offense to the hilt, and Old Dominion finally has that element to the game that they haven't had in a while. But limiting Georgia Southern, who can score to 19, that's got to be kind of scary. If you're out in the East and you're thinking about making a move, you're like, holy hell, Old Dominion has defense and offense. That's going to be a tough combination to beat.
Shane, imagine if Jeremy had all of these prestigious award votes where he would be like, yeah, Dave Smith, starting quarterback for Old Madison. That's who I'm voting for.
Huh. Why did you say that?
Because you can't remember anybody's name.
I can't remember anybody's name. Yeah. It's a detriment, not just on this podcast, guys, but in my personal life and my professional life. It's rough. It's a handicap. You guys should feel sorry for me.
At least you wouldn't have to vote like verbally, so that helps.
It's going to have some.
Is that a thing? You can vote verbally?
You wouldn't have to, so it helps.
Oh.
I bet he can at least write the name down right.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. My spelling's pretty bad too. But yeah, let's look at those standings, Tibbs. You want to look at the standings?
Well, before we get to the standings, one more game to recap that I guess technically is this week, but weird Tuesday night. I feel like we're invading MAC territory there.
Yes.
The Raging Cajuns go to San Marcos. They get the win over Texas State, 23-17. Huge win for the Cajuns. Another great game from Ben Wooldridge. I don't know what's better, their offense or their defense right now. And really, I think you could flip a coin of saying what their real strength is.
You know, to me, the Cajuns are who I thought Appalachian State was going to be. That beautifully balanced team, a team that can score points but also limit the other team, a team that can run and throw, a team that just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of weaknesses. That's what I thought Sean Clark at Appalachian State had. He doesn't have that. He clearly doesn't have much of a defense, that's for sure. So here we are with the Cajuns. And I got to admit, I was wrong about the Cajuns, guys. I kind of thought the Cajuns were, I don't know, oversold. Yeah, I didn't think they were too great last year. Arkansas State kind of pounded them. I was just like, I don't see where the improvement has been made. Coach D, I'm happy for you, but it seems like you should be better by now. And my God, he is poised to bring the Cajuns back on top of the West and maybe on top of the Sun Belt. Shane Metlin. Shane Metlin, is there a better team right now than the Cajuns?
Not in the Sun Belt, no. I mean, honestly,
well, if they're the best team in the Sun Belt, Shane, they're the best team in college football, right?
I mean, I've almost gotten to the point. Like, to me, we could have canceled the Coach of the Year race a couple weeks ago, right? We were going to give it to Brian Vincent, like, no doubt, right?
Right. We might slay.
It's almost in the conversation now, I think. Like, depending on what ULM does the rest of the way. Like,
why is ULM out of the running? I mean, remember, Shane, we're at 1.5 wins. 1.5. I don't even know how you win.
They're out of the running. I'm just saying, like, it's an actual conversation about Coach of the Year right now. Maybe
you know what Shane has made.
I didn't think there was anybody.
Nation. Oh my God, Shane, you've angered another fan base.
No, I'm saying I didn't think there was anything anybody could do to catch Brian Vincent in the Coach of the Year race, and like now I think it's actually a discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And he Michael D. He comes in. He has a couple of years where he doesn't have great teams, right? But this year comes in with a great team. Now, does he do the same thing as Bryant Vincent and make bricks without straw? No. What Bryant Vincent has done, Brian Vincent, yeah. What he has done is a damn miracle, Tibbs. What are you laughing at?
Bricks and straw.
Didn't you watch 10 Commandments? Let's see, you make bricks without straw, Moses, and then they make bricks without straw. My God!
I thought you were doing like 3 Little Pigs or something.
That's what I was thinking. I was definitely struggling on that.
I'm sorry if my references are so sick that you guys can't keep up with them. That's fine. I'll dumb it down for you guys. What I'm just saying is what Brian Vincent has done is a legit miracle. And what Coach Mike D has done is he's done a good job. That's all I'm saying.
I still feel insulted for some reason.
All right. Does this mean that the nail, though, has been driven into the hearts of Texas State? Are they done?
They got to be done. I mean, there was nobody at that game on Tuesday night for that game. And I get it that it's a weird Tuesday night. They were just coming off of a bye, I do believe. Or maybe they're on bye this week before they play ULM like everyone else is. But there was no atmosphere for that game. And that's crazy to see because, I mean, when I was there for the season opener against Lamar, which feels like an eternity ago, that place was rocking.
Yeah.
Every other game that you've seen there, the Thursday night Arizona State game, rocking. All the conference games, rocking. I don't know what happened there. Have they already turned their backs after that Sam Houston implosion? Was the UTSA game the only game they really cared about winning this year? I don't know.
Well, you think back at the beginning of the year. I mean, the talk was really high on Texas State. Oh, they have a chance to get into the college football playoffs. These are the guys from the Sun Belt you have to look out for. Oh, college or Sun Belt Player of the Year, Jordan McLeod. He's going to come back and lead this team to victory. And was it not McLeod who threw a fourth quarter interception that kind of sealed the deal for the loss?
No, he was already out injured. He was injured right before the half. Yeah.
Oh, God. I did not know that. Okay. I feel terrible now. But anyway.
It was Martinez.
Oh, Martinez. As far as the crowd, Tibbs, I mean, yeah, it's a weird Tuesday, right? Do we need to trash the Bobcats for not coming out on a weird Tuesday? Heck, it might have even been the students' fall break, as far as I know, right?
I think you do a little bit because
yes, let's do it.
I mean, Kev Chardilla said, you win and you'll be supported. Well, they were kind of winning, and they're still not getting the support they wanted. So what else do you need to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the expectations were set very high. You lose to the Bearcats. Now you lose to the Cajuns. And it just doesn't feel – it feels like a letdown if you're Texas State. Like for ULM, every game is magic, right? But Texas State, it's like, oh, shit. We're 2 losses down. We're done.
Magic.
It is magic. It's a freaking miracle.
Before we get into second and short, Jeremy, your favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
News around the league. Ooh. Shane will not be going to Pensacola even longer as the conference signed the extension through 2030 that the basketball tournaments will remain in Pensacola.
Some people happy, some people not happy.
I've been going to Pensacola every year.
I've heard some griping.
I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, I have yet to go to Pensacola for the tournament. It's the only tournament location we've had that I have not been to. But what's the real gripe? It's warm weather. There's beaches.
I think that there is attitude amongst the Eastern teams that it gives an unfair advantage to the Western teams because it's easier for us to get to from the West, right? Kind of like the Sunbelt Media Days. It's easier for Arkansas State fans, ULM fans, especially South Alabama fans. It's almost like a home atmosphere for those guys, right? I think there's some griping in that regard. That's the gripe I heard. I'm not griping because I think it's a great place to play some basketball.
Shane, for your elitist East division, where the hell should we move it then?
I would say, like, I'd be completely happy with alternating between Pensacola and like Roanoke, Virginia. I think it offers a lot of the same kind of benefits as Pensacola. Substitute mountains for the beach, I guess, but similar size city. I think it's pretty centrally located for the East. I mean, I'll sound selfish because JMU is the closest, but when you're talking about campuses, alumni base, and everything, it's pretty even for JMU, App State, Marshall, ODU. Like their fans would really show up there, and I could see maybe alternating or doing 2 years on, 2 years off those places. But I don't really have any major complaints about sticking with Pensacola because, like, the city does a good job. They the politicians, the local businesses, like even local celebrities are showing up and like making a big deal out of having the Sun Belt tournament there. If you got a South Alabama Southern Miss final one year, like you'd have a great crowd. So, I mean, I think Pensacola is fine. You're not going to find anything that works for everybody. And I don't think you want to go back to Atlanta or New Orleans or some huge city that,
I was thinking Nashville,
doesn't care at all that you're there. Yeah. So,
yeah, Hot Springs did not care that we were there.
Oh, you know what? I tell you who loved it being in Hot Springs. Arkansas State. We loved it. I went to so many tournament games as a result. It was right there. I could visit my parents. Yeah. Hot Springs, they love the tournament there so much that when they had the opportunity to host the high school tournaments, they said, screw you, Sunbelt. We're going to do the Arkansas high school tournaments instead. F Hot Springs. Yes, I'm glad Pensacola is actually interested in hosting.
One of the power players of the Sun Belt is no longer standing on the shores of beautiful Eagle Creek.
No.
Jared Binko, athletic director for Georgia Southern, has left the building, heading back to Auburn to be a deputy AD director. I mean, we've already seen where the governor left a head coaching job for a coordinator position at the P5.
Yeah.
Are we now at a level where our ADs are becoming deputies at the G5?
We saw Sean Elliott do the same thing, right? Yeah. So,
Southern Miss, their previous AD went to Ole Miss for a similar situation. So
it is it's embarrassing if you're the Sun Belt, right? Because they're like, oh, you would think that you would leave this nice position as being in charge for at least a lateral move, right? You get whether it's a P5 or another G5 or whatever. It's alarming in that here's what I think it signals. It signals that pretty soon there's only going to be one game in town, and you better not be left without a chair when the music stops, right? So Pinko's like, hey, I'm if I'm gonna continue to survive in college athletics, it better be with the ones that are going to be playing major football, baseball, and basketball in the future. That's my paranoid take on it, Tibbs.
Yeah, because how many athletic directors have y'all been through?
None left for a lower gig, though. Like Mahajer, he left to be the same position at UCF, and now look, he's power 4 or whatever. And then the other guy, we just fired him. I don't know where he went. And then our newest guy is from Alabama. He was kind of like the deputy, and he's kind of moved up to be the Jeff Pearden. He's the chancellor of intercollegiate athletics, which is for all purposes. It's the intended purposes. It is the athletic director. Anyway, what are we talking about, Tibbs?
We were giving news around the league.
Oh, that's right. I kind of got lost. I just started talking.
Shocker. You just randomly saying words.
You know what? We should go back to second and short. Doesn't that clarify the mind?
I love second and short.
Okay, guys. You know how second and short works, right? We lay out the games. We try to keep it under 2 minutes per game. I hand it off to Tibb. I hand it off to Metlin. We have a little back and forth. And we get through the week's games. What week are we in? Is this week 9 or week 10? It's week 10, right?
10.
We are in week 10 of Sunbelt action, which is pretty damn cool. But, with 2 bye weeks this year, it kind of makes everything kind of weird. But that's fine. I'm not going to gripe about that. Guys, are you ready for second and short? Just one time, guys. Just one time, I want some enthusiasm.
Next time.
I'm going to send you an email alert saying, all right, when we introduce second and short, I want to see some enthusiasm.
Add it to the show notes so that we know when in the script we're supposed to say it.
That's right. Where's our producer? Our producer should be putting this together, not us. We're big time. All right, we've already had our Tuesday, October 29th game, the Cajuns versus the Bobcats. Cajuns came away with the victory. We talked about that. Huge implications for the Sun Belt West. That's pretty awesome. It's awesome that here it is. It's about to be November 1st, and there's just nothing is settled. There's so many teams still in it. That's very cool. So then we go.
And that it's 100 degrees outside.
Yes, I did some Halloween stuff, getting ready for a party tomorrow, and I was sweating. It's so hot out there, so hot and humid. Okay, Friday, November 1st, Georgia State Panthers. We talked a little bit about them earlier. They go up. They have this weird non-con. UConn Huskies. probably thought they were going to be kind of an easy win. Huskies are 5-3, guys. The game starts at 6 p.m. on the CBS Sports Network. The Huskies, a 7.5-point favorite. Guys, let's call it the Commodore curse, right? Ever since Georgia State beat the Commodores, they haven't won a game. I think they've lost 4 straight. So, Shane, I'm going to book it off to you. What are we going to see out of this game?
I don't know. Part of me wants to say
Deep insights.
Georgia State, they're going to pull it off. They've been close. Like you said, they haven't won since beating Vandy, but we know that they can beat a decent team. It's on the road. It's a weird Friday night, though. Like, UConn's got a little bit of momentum. I don't know. Something just feels a little bit off about this whole thing. That doesn't give me a ton of confidence, even though maybe 2 weeks ago I would have picked Georgia State going away. Like, I don't know. Something just makes me really hesitant to, like, go one way or the other. But I have confidence in where Georgia State is heading overall. Something doesn't feel right about this Friday night game.
Yeah, I think Zach Gibson kind of gives them a little bit more of an edge at quarterback. I tell you what, this UConn team is interesting. You know, they lost by a total of 8 points to Duke and Wake Forest. They got some solid victories over not great teams, Temple and Rice and FAU, but they're doing pretty good. So to have to go to UConn and play this game for the Panthers, not a great situation, I think, for the Panthers who really need that win. Tibbs, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough travel. It is actually cold in Connecticut, so these Southern guys are going to be on the struggle bus whenever they get off and got to face the Huskies.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I agree with Shane. I like the direction that Georgia State's going, but I have a hard time cheering against Jim Mora, the head coach of UConn.
What?
After his great calling out of the officials when they lost to Wake Forest with his, as I quote him directly, horseshit calls.
I wonder if he received a letter from the NCAA about that.
They're 1A independent. There's no way anybody said anything to him.
Nice. I agree. I kind of think maybe the Panthers surprised in this game. It's going to be interesting. I think if you're watching a football game on Friday night, this would be a good game to watch. All right, the next day, Saturday, the champagne of days to play collegiate football. November 2nd, Old Dominion Monarchs start off the day against the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Monarchs are 4-4. Mountaineers are 3-4. That's kind of crazy. It's at 1:30 p.m. The Monarchs, even though they are at Boone, guys, the Monarchs have a 2.5-point favorite status from Vegas, from BetOnline, the online platform of choice for us. Shane Mettler, are the Monarchs really a 2.5-point favorite over the Mountaineers?
I think they are right now.
Okay.
Even at 4-4, you got to go back and look at their early losses. They were, competitive at South Carolina. Like, they played a tough schedule, and they just look like a different team with Colton Joseph at quarterback. Tons of momentum. Playing with house money a little bit. I mean, even though they lead the standings, like, isn't the pressure on App State to kind of get back to where you want them to be? And, like, anything at this point, like, I think Ricky Ronnie's kind of solidified himself at ODU, the chance, to come back. Like, a few weeks ago, he might have been considered on the hot seat. Now they're leading the conference. It's like, I feel like it's almost a little bit house money for ODU, even though they're really playing for something.
Yeah, first of all, Ricky Ronnie never seems to me like a guy who really sweats anything. He seems like just a confident guy who's like, if he loses, he's a little irritated, but if he wins, he really enjoys it. I feel like Appalachian State right now, the whole vibe is different. Like, they're the ones that are under the pressure. They're the ones that are supposed to win the division, possibly the Sun Belt itself. You know that Coach Sean Clark is probably just chugging down at acids. Tibbs, have I read this correctly?
No, I think that's right. And I think that the Mountaineers are backed into a corner. And I think that they're going to come out swinging hard. The only reason I think that App State wins this game is because it's at home and they do have such a rabid fan base to kind of cheer them on literally to victory. But Old Dominion's going to give them everything they can and then some. But I think App State is just that 3 point better to get the win.
Yeah, man, watch that crowd too. Let's see if they kind of have the same attitude that happened at Texas State. That'd be interesting. Next game, it's at 2:30 p.m. boys. ESPN Plus, the champagne of broadcast stations. ULM Warhawks are 5-2, a proud 5-2. They should be proud of that. Versus Marshall Thundering Herd, they're 4-3, hanging out there in the Sun Belt East. The Herd are Warhawks. They never get the benefit of the doubt. The Herd are a 10.5 point favorite. I got to know from you, Thibodeau. Is it fair that the Warhawks are a 10-point underdog in this game?
I think it's fair. I mean,
Okay.
you look at last week; they really they got blown out by South Alabama, and and so I think that Vegas is seeing this as they've been lucky. They're not as good as we thought they were, so this is the ULM of old. This isn't really the ULM of old. But I think that Marshall has more offensive weapons than the defense of ULM can handle this week.
Yeah.
I like Marshall and AJ to get another big game. I like to see Braylon Braxton getting some more running yards, maybe even trying to pass the ball a little bit more.
Could be, yeah.
But I like the Herd. I mean, and I think that 10-point spread is pretty fair. I think it's a 2-touchdown win.
Yeah, why pass when you have AJ Turner? The guy is dynamite. Yeah, but Warhawks have Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy got 104 yards last week. I'll tell you, he's a good freshman. He's going to be fun to watch in the years to come. Shane, are the Marshall Thundering Herd really a 10.5 point favorite over the Warhawks?
I wouldn't go 10.5, but I do kind of see Marshall maybe pulling out a close one in this one. I think ULM's they're not gonna get blown out like they did last week. I think that was a little bit of an aberration. Like they're better than that. Tibbs said ULM of old. They're not ULM of old. It's a competitive team. It's a team that really fights hard, especially defensively. If Ahmad Hardy can allow them to maybe control time of possession, effectively shorten the game, which I think is what ULM's kind of like had a lot of success with, is keep other teams' offenses off the field. Then maybe they have a chance in this one, but it's tough. I mean, one of these days I'm going to actually sit down and figure it out. But the records of the teams going cross division traveling, can't be good. It's tough to win on the road when you're going west to east or east to west. But it seems like it's even tougher west to east, maybe with losing an hour or something. I don't know, but the travel makes it tough. I think Marshall's going to pull out a pretty close one.
Yeah, I think Marshall is one of these underrated teams out in the East. It's kind of funny to say they're underrated because people always kind of pick the Herd to do well because they have just such a great history and they've been known to have some great teams. But they just seem to be a little under the radar this year. But AJ Turner is just the guy. He's just a really good running back, just in the vein of those great running backs that come out of Marshall. I think
averaging 10 yards a carry, Jeremy.
Yes. I mean, why even throw? You were like, Braxton is something. Just hand the ball off. So if the Herd can score more than 21 points, they should be able to beat ULM. That's the key to beating ULM. You got to score more than 21. Next game on the docket, Coastal Carolina Chanticleer started the season on fire, and now there's something going on with those Chants. They're getting the Troy Trojans. They're 1-7. Yeah, kind of lost a heartbreaker there at Jonesboro. Looked like they were really keyed up to win that game. They had everything going in that third quarter. Scored 21 points. Took the lead at one point. It looked like Troy, almost like the Troy of old. They were running the ball. Troy cannot pass the ball. That's kind of a problem with Troy. They don't make great decisions in the passing game. And I couldn't understand why they would get away from the running game when you could run on Arkansas State. Anyway, the game's at 3 p.m. It's on ESPN Plus. The Chants are a 4.5 point favorite. Tibbs, does Troy have a chance to make a game out of the Chanticleer? Did they get some sort of, I don't know, a whiff of, hey, maybe we can be successful? Maybe we can get this win after coming so close against Arkansas State?
Yeah, I definitely like Troy this week because it's at home again. And as Shane said, it's hard to go from east to west and west to east. But I think that Troy got the most important thing last week. They got hope.
Yeah.
That they showed that they can compete with anybody in the league. Last time I checked, unless realignment happened again, the Shants are still in the league. And so I like Troy to be able to compete and pick up their first Sun Belt Conference win this weekend.
Wow, that'd be big. You know, the Troy has two really good running backs, Gerald Green and Damian Taylor. They're a really good 1-2 punch. But is that enough to beat the Chanticleer, Shane?
I don't know. This is my exception to the rule as far as like the cross division. Troy is kind of like they're the most Eastern West division team.
Yeah, they're kind of in the middle.
It's not the like Texas State going to ODU type of travel. So I mean, it still might be a factor, but I kind of look at the opposite way. Like, when you lose a heartbreaker like Troy did last week, but you're like in championship contention, you regroup and you rebound and you're still fighting for something. When you were like maybe looking at like that one maybe we'll get a win here. It's been a long time since we've won a game, and then you let it slip away like that. Sometimes that's the end of things.
Yeah,
that's tough to come back from when you thought you might get a win, and now it's looking potentially hopeless. We'll see how they rebound. I mean, I'm not saying they're quitting or anything, but it's tough emotionally to go through a game like that. Coastal, whatever they're going through, whatever led to them firing offensive coordinator, everything, there's still some talent over there. I think there's more talent on the Coastal side, and I think they're probably going to get a road win this week.
Yeah, I think Ethan Vasco just has to wake up a little bit. The Ethan Vasco that started off the year so hot with Coastal winning their first three, he doesn't seem like the same guy. I don't know if people have figured him out or not, but he's just not, dominating the way he was. It's kind of funny what you said about, Troy and, they come so close and then they lose the game. And at this type of season, being at 1-7 might suck the energy out of them from that. Kind of reminds me a little about ULM last season, where, they would be competitive in games and look like come so close. And then they have these heartbreaking losses. And at the end, they kind of packed it in. It was like, listen, this isn't working. We're just going to wait till next year. Last game of the evening, Georgia Southern Eagles. Oh my God, the Eagles. Come on, you got to get back off the snide here. That was a rough game against ODU. Going up against maybe one of the hotter teams in the league right now, South Alabama Jags. They're 4-4, but kind of like ODU, a real tough 4-4. It's 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be on ESPN. It's going to be on ESPNU, guys. So if you've got the package, go ahead and get it. Bet Online says 6.5 for USA. Before running into that Monarch weird saw, the Eagles had won 5 of 6. They look like they're going to win that Sun Belt East. They had J.C. French having one hell of a season in Statesboro. Is this the game where the Eagles sort of reassert themselves, Shane Metlin?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I see a bounce back. I think Georgia Southern, that was, we talk about ODU being weird. I don't know if it's weird that they blew Georgia Southern out, but I think they're going to be a lot more competitive. To win at South Alabama, though, is going to be tough because, like you said, Georgia Southern they're always a lot tougher at Paulson than they are when they get on the road. South Alabama is playing a lot better. I don't see South Alabama pulling off another blowout like they did last week, and I don't see Georgia Southern getting blown out like they did last week, but I do think South Alabama is probably going to win a closer one this time around with both playing pretty well.
Yeah, this is going to be a fine cross-divisional matchup. Probably.
Did Shane just pick both teams, by the way?
No.
Here's what I've noticed about Shane on this particular segment tonight. I'll ask Shane what he thinks, and he'll start with saying, I don't know. But he knows. Shane knows.
I just said Georgia Southern wasn't going to get blown out.
Okay. You're just being very coy.
It's not going to be like last week.
Tibbs, are the Jaguars? Are they going to listen? If the Jags are back, they got to win this game, right?
Yeah, this is a must-win if they want to really showcase and parlay that momentum that they got after the ULM win last week. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's Georgia Southern getting their rebound game. They realize that their goals, their dreams, their hopes are slipping away, and that they're going to have to man it up and go out, fight for this win. I think they get it this week over South Alabama.
You know what's funny is they're both 3-1 in their division, right? Or in the conference. They're both within striking distance of, like maybe perhaps winning a divisional title. So whoever loses is they're just kind of out, right? They're done.
Yeah, because of the head-to-head.
Yeah. And guys, speaking of done, we are done with Second and Short. Congratulations, men. I know you weren't enthusiastic about playing, but you kind of brought it and got stronger as the games went on, and I thank you. Good work, guys. Well played.
Well, we have to close out the show, as always, with plugs, promos, and parting shots. Jeremy, give us your long-winded parting shot.
I'm going to try to make it less winded, low-winded. Hey, this is next time when you hear from us, there will be a new president in the White House because everybody's voting, right? I early voted. I think all of you guys have early voted. I think that's great. Here's what I don't like about voting, guys. I hate the sticker. And let me tell you, it's not because I'm embarrassed about voting. I want people to know I voted, so people will go, oh, well, this guy voted. I can vote too. I just don't like stickers. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not 5. I don't need a sticker when I do something. So when the volunteer has that roll of stickers and goes towards me to pin one on my shirt, I always say no. I don't want a sticker. And they always look at me like I just committed treason. But guys, I just don't want a sticker. And that's my parting shot.
This was a recycled parting shot because I remember this, of how you were petrified of stickers.
I didn't even mention my petrification of stickers this time. I just wanted to make it sound cool. Yes, I have recycled it, but it's for the elections. Yeah.
Shane, what do you have that you're afraid of, apparently?
Not afraid, but I was just going to mention, an old friend from the Sun Belt, made some news today. Mark Byington now at Vanderbilt. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah, I didn't see the story, but yeah, what's going on?
They put out their roster for the upcoming basketball season and listed everybody as a point guard, which I find interesting. He always, he always talked about positionless basketball, so I almost guessed maybe he would have put no positions at all. But I guess he wants everybody to have a point guard's mentality now. But I do find a little bit. He never did a lot of these big PR tricks or anything at JMU or Georgia Southern that I'm aware of. So I found that one pretty interesting. I don't think Jalen Carey is going to play too many minutes at point guard for Vanderbilt, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. They've got 15 point guards on the roster. Yeah,
it seems to me that those type of gimmicks can backfire on you, especially now he's kind of in a more high profile place. He comes in from JMU and he kind of pulls this stunt. Does this kind of look a little like Cracker Jack to you, or do you find this amusing?
Oh, I love it. I wish he would have put everybody as an F. And why is everybody a 4? No, it's fun. They're all going to have fun.
Everybody's an F. You know who would do something like that? List everybody that has a tight end would be Signetti.
Yeah. Everybody's a kicker.
Yeah, everybody's a K. For fuck you. I love Kurt Signetti. He's my favorite.
Was that all you had, Shane? Was that okay?
Yeah, what more could he want?
It's World Series time. Game 5 is underway as we record this. Did you see the absolute shithead fan that mugged Mookie Betts for the ball.
Yes, I saw that. I know Shane saw that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all saw that.
I was speechless of how could somebody be so brazen, stupid, and think that it was just okay and funny and was signing autographs at a bar later that night. These people are the ones that really need to be actually criminally tying up resources charged. Shane, am I allowed that when you're writing your story, you're doing your job, if I just run up and grab both your hands and fling your typewriter onto the floor?
No, I wouldn't appreciate that. And the thing to me about it too is just like, we've always seen it, every once in a while, somebody like just, the moment gets the better of them. They're not thinking and they, they reach out where they're not supposed to, or, like that kind of interference is one thing, but like just completely wrestle a guy's glove away from him. Like
this wasn't
about what you're doing for like a good 10 seconds. Like that's just insane that somebody thought that was.
This wasn't Steve Bartman reflexively going for the ball. These guys were like mugging this poor outfielder. And what made it worse, Tibbs, wasn't that they did that. They're just a bunch of obnoxious fans.
No, they're Yankees fans.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. They one or the other. But then ESPN comes out and like makes them like heroes, with a featured story. And hey, meet the guy that was such a big dickhead in the outfield. And you're like, what are we even doing here? Why are we giving this guy any press time? He's sitting there with his goateed pals, hee-hawing, holding up the ball. Don't make these guys like some kind of hero. Don't encourage these guys. There'll just be more guys like that. What's wrong with you, ESPN?
But you would have loved it if he was wearing a Fun Belt Podcast t-shirt.
Absolutely.